Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology, and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And always glad to have my friend and colleague, Chief Travis Terrio, on. Thanks, Chief.
How you doing? Thanks for having us today.
I'm good. All right, Chief, as well with the Houma Police Department. And, you know, we come across some of these situations, some of these stories where we're glad to have you guys out on the streets kind of taking care of things. Tell us a little bit about this gentleman who made some interesting decisions.
So last night around 9:00 p.m., one of our K-9 officers was patrolling in the area of Scott Lane and Park, and they had a gentleman pedaling his bike against traffic, no reflectors, no headlight, nothing. So he tries stopping him, and the guy takes off on the bicycle from him, refusing to stop. Eventually he stops, but when he does, he discards a large cellophane bag, and it was found to be individually packaged for illegal street sales of marijuana.
Okay.
So he tries taking him into custody. He takes off running. They get into a struggle, and he fights with the officer. And eventually, without further incident, he ends up arresting him. Well, after he arrests him, one of the other responding officers arrives, and he asked that officer to go into his house and shut off his stove, which happened to be a couple hundred feet away, because he knew he was going to jail. And he knew he left his stove on in his house. He didn't want his house to burn.
Right.
So when the officer goes into the house, as he's walking in the house, there's a large mason jar of marijuana filled to the top. So he shuts the stove off. They walk out the house. They secure a search warrant. They go back into the home, and they, after obtaining the search warrant, and they conduct a search of the house. They found some prescription legend narcotics, which is just not a scheduled drug, but it's still illegal to possess without a prescription. So they secured that. They also discovered during the search warrant the jar of marijuana that was sitting right at the door of the house as they walked in, and they found 3 firearms. So the 3 firearms, you can possess a firearm in your home, but you can't have one that's stolen. So one of them was stolen from Michigan, and you also can't possess a firearm if you're a convicted felon. So as a result of the complete investigation and this excellent example of police work, he was charged with possession of firearm by convicted felon, possession of a stolen firearm, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession with the intent to distribute marijuana, possession of marijuana, possession with the intent to distribute a alleged narcotic, resisting arrest with force or violence, obstruction of justice, headlamp required on a bicycle, and improper bicycle lane use.
And that's a laundry list, if you will. And this is a convicted felon who's got not only have firearms, but he's got a stolen firearm.
Correct.
And not only does he have these substances, these illegal substances, but it's quite clear that they are with the intent to sell.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, this large cellophane bag with individually wrapped marijuana to be sold.
Right. Right. And look. We know there's this big push, for legalizing marijuana, but this is not the way it's going to happen. Like you can't possess it. It's still against the law in Louisiana, and we're still going to enforce it.
Right. And there's a whole lot more reasons why. And we talk about marijuana as a gateway, but this is a gateway to all kinds of other issues.
Yes.
With the sale, the intent, a convicted felon. And quite frankly, it's another one of these situations where if the police officer's not real careful, this guy could have gotten killed in the street.
Right.
Right. By riding without the proper usage for the bicycle. And that's why that's important.
Right. And it's not just the marijuana that he was selling. You also got to realize he also had another prescription narcotic or prescription medication that he was selling as well.
Right.
So, and then you do have the, illegal possession of the firearm, and he's already a convicted felon. He's not allowed to have firearms on his
Right.
person anyway, so he can't have any of the firearms.
Right.
He's already convicted.
Right. And again, it's really interesting. He's concerned about his house. Kind of makes you wonder if he was concerned about all of the things that are in the house,
Yeah, I guess he had to weigh out the options. Either
Right.
either I'm gonna get in trouble for it or I'll let it burn. So
Yeah.
I think he just wanted make sure his house didn't burn down.
Right. Right.
I bet he wishes he would have shut the stove off before he left.
Yeah, probably so. The other big thing is following protocol. I love the fact that the officer did as per the request. He goes in and he finds probable cause, and then you call and get a search warrant.
Yeah. So once he seen the narcotics, they backed out. They contacted our narcotics division. We had a narcotics agent that came out and they secured the search warrant. Then they went back in. They, all the way around, it was a really good example of some heads up, proactive policing, following protocol, and I can't be proud of the guys that work for the officers of the Houma Police Department and the work that they do. And, thankful to have them with us.
Right, absolutely. And being able to have these narcotics divisions and so well trained. We talk about the hours and hours of training that you guys have to pay to get.
Right.
And so that's where this comes through. This is where the really good work from your team comes through. Everybody.
Oh yeah. They all they love what they do, and we're so grateful for everything that they do for the agency and all the men and women that work for us.
Yeah. And the other thing as we kind of close out here is the value to the community of getting someone who's a convicted felon that's got illegal drugs, he's got illegal guns, and it's someone in a community where we're thankful to have them off the street, but out of that community as well.
That's right. I don't think anybody in Houma wants this type of thing happening on our streets.
Yeah.
I mean, we just want to make for a better town. That's
Right.
it.
And that's what HPD does. Chief, we thank you so very much. Glad your team is doing such a great job, and always thankful that y'all are able to protect the community, partner with us about how we're doing that and doing that well.
Thank you, and thank you for all the support y'all always show us too.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chief. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment, but don't go anywhere. We have a whole lot more right here on Bayou Time.